Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are talking about the solar eclipse. It's on September 21. It's at 29 degrees of Virgo. Now, 29 is a critical degree, and this is a harvest eclipse, so that makes it particularly intense. So let's talk about it. So this eclipse and the eclipse we had earlier in September are the exact same eclipses that we had in September 2006. So think back to 2006, what was going on? What were the obstacles and challenges? What were the opportunities that were happening? Because those are things that could be happening again this time. And by the way, I do readings so we can look at your chart and look at specifically what's ahead for you. There's a link in the description. So, of course, eclipses bring big change, and that affects the world. And the theme of the eclipse, which is based on the sign of the eclipse, and in this case, the degree of the eclipse, can give us a lot of information about things that could go on in the world. Now, a lot of these things are happening already. They are just reaching a very noticeable and critical stage. But what's more important is that we can derive information for our own lives from what's going on with this eclipse and in the world. So a Virgo eclipse is always about health and well-being. And so during this time, we may see some big news stories about what is going on in the world when it comes to health, disease, infections, just general well-being of people. And what we need to think about for ourselves is, how are we taking care of ourselves? How are we taking care of our bodies? Because this 29-degree eclipse says that if there are things that you know you need to be doing and you're not doing them, now is the time to start, because the energy here is really loud. It's like a megaphone saying, take care of yourself. A Virgo eclipse is about agriculture and the food supply, and so oftentimes with the Virgo eclipse, we are going to see rising food costs or even shortages. And again, you may have already been experiencing some of this, but this is also that now it becomes more extreme. Now it becomes more noticeable. And the message for us as individuals is, how can we become more self-sufficient? Now, in a society, it's very hard to be 100% self-sufficient, but we can learn to cook at home, keep a well-stocked pantry, to connect with local restaurant owners or local farmers and support what they're doing in our communities. A Virgo eclipse also talks about the people in general, the condition of the population, and so that can lead to some, expressing and civil unrest, and we are seeing that again already. And so it's very important to express our opinions and to be out in the world saying our truth. But this is also a reminder that in our own lives, we need to look at what's not working and make some changes to figure out, what we're doing that is something that we would normally rebel against. And so then we say to ourselves, okay, this is something that has to change. Also, a Virgo eclipse is about how large companies and the government itself just works on a daily basis. And so it's quite likely that we're going to hear a lot more about jobs, how many jobs are being created, or how few are being created, layoffs and things like that. And so that reminds us, that bigger picture reminds us to take a look at how we're doing our daily lives and what we need to subtract from our daily lives, what we need to add to our daily lives to make it better, to put ourselves more on the path that we want to be on. And that might involve, meditation or journaling. That might involve getting into the community, meeting your neighbors, and connecting with people. Now, this eclipse affects those people who are born between the 14th of the month and the 27th of the month. I'm going to put the specific dates on the screen, and that means that your sun is getting hit by this eclipse. Now, of course, a conjunction, a square, or an opposition would be the strongest hit, but even a semi-sextile is going to affect you. And so this hit to your sun means that some aspect of your identity is shifting. That is that you are deciding to leave an old part of you behind and embrace something new. Additionally, it's very important to check the planets and as well as a couple of important points, and that would be the ascendant and the midheaven. Those in particular could affect your job, your living arrangement, your relationship. And so look for any planets or points that are between 25 degrees and 29 degrees, or between 0 and 4 degrees. All of those indicate a hit. Of course, personal planets and the moon are going to be a stronger hit. Some of the outer planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are going to be more generational, so people around your age will be experiencing a similar thing. And I also wanted to mention that if you have anything at early Libra, so that's 0 from 4 degrees, that's actually a conjunction with that eclipse, with this eclipse at 29 Virgo. So that's often missed because of the change of signs, but this is a very potent hit. Now, eclipses allow us an opportunity to see our situation very honestly and make some changes. And this can be something you're quite conscious of, that you've been saying to yourself, I need to change this, or you're already in motion towards it. It also can bring a kind of, oh, the emperor has no clothes type of experience where we say, I didn't realize that I've been fooling myself. I didn't realize that I was not paying attention to this as much as I was. And so then it's time to get real. And so either of those things can help us move forward. Okay, Taurus, this solar eclipse is lighting up your area of risk-taking and creativity. And those are, well, this is harmonious energy for you. You know, we often don't associate the sign of Taurus with risk-taking, but you're quite good at it, because taking a risk by leaping forward is, well, too risky. But by constantly pushing against the boundaries and the barricades in your life, by just doing a little bit more and just nudging it, that actually leads to expanding your world, and that can bring you some really good results. This is also about your creativity and self-expression, and that is a little bit of a time for you to be saying, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to do, and let other people know so that they can assist you. And you might say, but they may get in your way, they may say no. Well, that is then that thing to push against, just gently, as you normally do, to say, why are you saying no? And what is the reasons behind this? And is there something I need to consider? Now, that's all the positive ways of doing this eclipse. If this is catching you off guard, this is where you suddenly realize you're playing it small, that you have so much more ability and potential and so much more to offer the world, and you're just taking this easy way. You're staying too much in the comfort zone, and you're not stepping out into something new. This is also the time when you might realize that you're not having any fun. That the job may be secure, but it's not interesting, even though you could go ask for projects that could be something that's exciting, or you could look for something else. This may be that you're not spending time doing the things that you really enjoy doing because you are so busy taking care of everyone else. So this is one of those times and rare time, because it's an eclipse, that's you have to say to yourself, am I living the life I want? And then start to incrementally move towards what you want. Now, it may be that you're not the person who is doing the creative stuff and the crafts. It may be that the joy for you is to go see other people, to see their art, to listen to their music, or, to go be around people who are having a good time, and, children and puppies and stuff like that. So this is this is a time to reintroduce yourself to what is fun. And a way that you can uncover more information about this eclipse is through an astrology reading. Astrology readings are very helpful. They give you information about yourself, they can uncover your hidden talents and abilities, and they can also give you a view of what's ahead. So I do readings. There's a link in the description. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, there is such strong energy in this chart. Venus is just making a semi-sextile to Mercury, but the solar eclipse is actually lighting up this area of the chart. And so this does indicate that it's time. And remember, the solar eclipse itself's energy is far more than the 2 weeks. It can last 6 months. So this could be opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. But what's more important is I think you're going to see what's been holding you back. See if you're the one that's been blocking the door because maybe of past hurts, or you just feel tired, or you just don't want to do it, but suddenly you have new energy and new life about finding this love, and this energy here says you could do it. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is making an inconjunct to Pluto. And so the temptation here is to say, well, they're in charge of that part of the relationship and I don't have any say, and then I can feel a little bit unhappy. It would be better to find a way to keep switching that, like, okay, you've contributed this in this area of the relationship. Now I have some input, so I would like to make a contribution in this area. The inconjunct means that you come at it from really different perspectives, and when you do that, you could really help each other because the other person's going to tell you things that you never thought of, you never considered, and you're going to do the same for them. And that's going to really help this relationship grow. Inconjuncts they can be challenging aspects, but I think that if you think of like the skier going down the hill on the slalom, it is adjust, 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 adjust. And so if you think of it in those terms, your partner says, I want to go to the movies. Oh, I don't want to go to the movies. And you just adjust. Then you say, okay, well, then let's go to dinner. And, as you do that, then you get into the flow of it. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Mercury, which is part of a wide grand trine with Uranus and Pluto. And this is an opportunity to actually apply some of the ideas that you have and try them out. And as you test them, you're going to find new openings and new avenues for money. This is such an important step to take because if you're just in your head and everything's a theory, you can go back and forth forever. Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? Sometimes it means just opening up the app and trying it out, opening up the website and seeing if you can figure out how to move this or that. Actually sending out the email saying, this is what I have to offer. This sort of thing, just that real world test, could open up new avenues for you. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, and there's no aspect going on between Mercury and Jupiter. So a lot of what you're doing, the bigger paydays come outside this 2-week period. One of the things I wanted to note, though, was Mars is at a critical degree in an area where you are dealing with other people who seem to be extremely anxious or urgent about whatever it is that they want. And so there's a lot of pressure on you of people saying they need something last minute, or that, they gave you a deadline of months from now, but now they need it right away. So there is some of that energy. And as you are dealing with that can pull you away from some of the money-making opportunities that you want to do. Don't worry, these opportunities are going to come back around even stronger after this eclipse period. So take care of the things that, if someone comes to you with their hair on fire, help them put out their hair. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be a paycheck, it is a different story because Mercury is making an opposition to Neptune. And that gives you an opening to ask for more money, connect with someone about a better position, transfer, get a new job. So you have some good energy there. There's a little bit of a wait time, which is interesting because you've got planets on either side of that house. So that kind of means that you start the conversation and nothing happens for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden everything's like, go sign this and move that and all of that. So I do think, though, this is like you plant a seed, nothing happens, and suddenly you go out there and there's a whole tree. So if you were given the chance to completely change one part of your life, what would it be? Take a moment and think about this, because oftentimes that answer will tell you where the eclipse is falling in your chart. And so when we have an eclipse, especially an eclipse that affects the sun in the chart, what gets affected is how you describe yourself to yourself and to others. Then, just less than a month later, Venus opposes the eclipse degree, and that happens on October 1st. And that's going to be some sort of maybe announcement about commerce, about prices, about goods, because Venus rules the Taurus energy, which is the stuff that we want to have. Now, probably the 410 hit is considered one of the most stressful because it is about home and career. And of course, you can mitigate a lot of this energy by leaning in and making as many changes as you can in those areas.